Good morning, I hope you're really well. Welcome to another little video. And I thought it was about time I said something to the camera, as I'm about 25 miles in to what is going to be a 100-mile ride today. And I thought, as is common practice, I'll take the camera around and do a little bit of waffle en route. And I thought in this little video I'd go through kind of three main considerations with a long ride, be it 100 miles like I'm doing, or whatever distance constitutes for you, you know, a long ride. And I'm going to go through the why, the where, and the how. And we'll get into the why in just a second. On a road with a few cars, but we'll be off this in a few minutes and I'll check back in with you then. Right, let's get into it. Whew. So welcome to the beautiful Tatton Park, and it's a bit of an old stomping ground for me, this. When I was a all year round commuting cyclist a few years ago, and before I moved up to the Pennines, this was on my way home actually. Pretty much every day if I wanted to take the long way back. And coming through here in all weathers, in all seasons, sometimes actually gunning it through the park before they close the gate at the other end was quite good fun. And I've not been back for a good couple of years, so it's nice to be back here. Anyway, talking about the why, you know, why on earth would you do a ride of 100 miles or a long ride relative to what you usually do when you're cycling? Well, I think one thing's for sure for me, it shouldn't be and it can't be about bragging rights. I know plenty of people for whom 100 miles is absolutely nothing, and they'll do that distance regularly, hardly breaking a sweat. And you know, this for me is a long ride. It's going to hurt towards the end of the day, I've no doubt, but I'm certainly not doing it for bragging rights. There's a couple of reasons I think why you would do, you know, a really long distance ride. And for me, that is, there's all kinds of other reasons like training, etc. But for me, if it's part of a point-to-point tour and it just so happens that between two accommodation points or two of the points where you're stopping just happens to be like 100 miles, you know, that will be one reason. And that's one of the very few occasions where I've done this distance before. That's exactly why we did it. And the other reason why I've done this distance previously, I've only done it a couple of times previously, is what's going on here? Hang on. I'm not going to get too close to this stag because it's rutting season. Is that what you call it? Just in case it decides to mate with a Boardman bicycle. Yeah, as I was saying, excuse the camera work. Oh yeah. The other reason I think you might want to consider a long ride is sort of curiosity and a little bit of a test for yourself. You know, am I capable of riding that distance? What would it feel like? How might I manage myself around a really, really long route? And that's partly why I'm doing this ride today. I did at the weekend, so what, 4 days ago, my first ever Audax, which is a kind of a long distance self-supported ride. It was just over 70 miles and had this just slight faint echo of fitness. Actually didn't feel too bad on the day, and it kind of got me thinking, well, if I push the miles just a little bit more, how might that feel? And should I maybe enter a slightly longer distance Audax next time? So that's part of the reason I'm going out today. But yeah, as I said, getting the kind of the why clear, you know, a reason why you're doing it, will be, I think, first consideration for me, and one of the kind of the important things to kind of get straight. Okay, we're about 57 miles into the ride, and I just dived into the Costa Coffee at Holmes Chapel to have a nice cup of tea and a bit of shortbread, so I've got that sort of post-cafe legs feeling going on. But yeah, we did the why earlier on, and I think the next thing to consider is the where. And it really goes without saying that not all 100-mile rides, 100-mile routes are created equally. Not all 10-mile rides are created equally, etc, etc. So if you're going to really push the distance for yourself, it kind of makes sense to really try and think about the route that you're going to take, and kind of give yourself every advantage that you can, every opportunity that you can to kind of get round. And for me, where I am in the Pennines, if I do a bike ride going, well, north or east from home, I'm immediately climbing probably over 1,000 feet straight away out the front door, and then I'm just out in the Pennine Hills. And you know, I know at this stage of my kind of cycling fitness, I haven't got it in me to do 100 miles going up and down Pennine Hills all day, so it's quite hilly going west as well from where I am. But south takes me into Manchester, which you might have seen on the video right at the start, and then into the kind of Cheshire Plains. So that's what my route is today. It's give me a chance of actually getting around the miles, having a bit of a change. So once I got through the horrible bits of Manchester, got into Town Park, it's been lovely going to the kind of West Cheshire Plains and then starting to loop back through Holmes Chapel. I'm just going behind Jodrell Bank at the moment, and I can see the radio telescope, but I might not be able to show you for a minute or two. And then I'm heading kind of east-ish towards Macclesfield, Stockport, and then back up into the Pennines home. So the where is important, I think. You know, make sure it's somewhere that, in terms of topography, gives you a chance of getting around. Maybe make sure it's somewhere that's interesting for you. And this ride for me is great because a lot of these little lanes are I've cycled on for many years, and it's just nice to kind of revisit them. Not that much has changed. But yeah, that's the why, that's the where, and I might check in around mile 75 or mile 80 if I'm still going, and say one or two things about the kind of the how. Again, things you can do practically to give yourself every chance of getting around the long ride that you set yourself. Oh man, always check the commute sections. That felt more like mountain biking. Okay, back on the road. Well, I've just had to skid to a halt, throw the bike on the floor and strip off in front of a poor gardener. Sorry about that, whoever you were. I was just cycling on a quieter road, thankfully, and something hit my neck and just fell down my top, and then I felt a searing pain just under my left kind of pec. Knew exactly what it was, and sure enough had to kind of flick a wasp off my chest that was just hanging on. Little aren't they, wasps? They're real kind of sting first, ask questions later. Anyway, nightmare. So properly bottomed up now. And I feel like I've been shot in my left side. It's excruciatingly painful. And of course on the bike, because your heart rate's elevated and your blood flow's really going, I think I'm getting all the symptoms double quick time. Anyway, onwards. Well folks, we are nearly 92 miles into the ride. I guess the end's in sight now. It's just that last little push from wherever we are. I haven't got a Scooby-Doo where I am, to be honest, and I'm somewhere around Failsworth, I think, and I'm going to head out to Ashton, Oldham way, I guess, and then through Shore and then back towards home. We talked about the why, we talked about the where. The last thing I was going to mention, seemed like a long time ago now, was the kind of the how. You know, how do you go about getting a long rides in the bag or in the bank? think the honest answer is I'm not really sure. It just kind of happens. I guess you need to have spent a certain amount of time on the bike to be able to tolerate being on a bike for long enough to do a long ride, if that makes sense. If you have spent that amount of time on the bike, chances are you've got that sort of fitness, that base fitness already with you. You know, make sure you're well rested before you start the bike ride. Fueling is so important, and if on a long ride you're starting to feel thirsty or hungry, it probably means that like an hour ago or half an hour ago you should have been drinking and eating. So I've been grazing and kind of snacking throughout the ride, trying to make sure that I'm never feeling particularly thirsty or hungry, and that's worked really well. Yeah, I don't know, the how is the $64,000 question, isn't it, I guess. I mean, just be sensible, use common sense, I think be realistic. That kind of feeds into the choosing an appropriate route, I think, that I was talking about earlier. And also just make sure you enjoy it as well. I mean, I really enjoy my cycling, I enjoy all the rides, and you know, if I'm being honest, hand on heart, I'm looking forward to getting home now. I'm pretty knackered. I'd be very surprised if I wasn't after 92 miles. But equally, I'm sort of enjoying it as well. I'm really going to enjoy stringing these little clips together and making some kind of little video for the channel. Well, I'm really fantasising about that big cup of tea now when I get home. Thank you, as always, for sticking to the end of the video and following along. If you'd be so kind as to consider liking and subscribing to the channel, that would be awesome. I really appreciate it, and it's really is helping me to get this little channel off the ground. Otherwise, stay safe out there, take care, and happy cycling. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.